Hi, thank you for joining me today for day 24 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. And today's sketch, which you can see in the top left-hand corner there, is designed by Cassandra Tooth, who's Crazy Craft Obsessions on YouTube. So Cassandra has got two lots of shards at the top and bottom of the page, and then two photos. So I've chosen two 3x4 photos, which are printed on a 4x6 photo paper using my HP Photo Smart printer, and I use the Project Life app to add those two photos to the one photo page, if that makes sense. So I'm just using the spun sugar distress oxide through this stencil from Simple Stories. It was in the Retro Summer collection this summer to create my shards. I decided I wanted to try something a bit different with the ink by pushing it through directly with the ink pad. I'm not sure I'll do it again. I don't think it creates much of a different look to just using a brush or something, but it was interesting to try. So we have to try these things sometimes, don't we? And at least I didn't have a paintbrush or a stencil brush to clean up afterwards, so that was something. And it does give more of a stripy look rather than a blended look, so that's good. So you can see I've created that top and bottom, and now I'm just pulling out some paper scraps to create some mats behind the photo. I matted them at the beginning onto some white cardstock, and now I'm just using these bits from my paper bin. I'm determined to make more use of those because I really don't use many papers on a lot of my layouts, so my scraps bin was getting pretty full, so I wanted to use some of these bits up. So this paper that I'm using now is from Boho Baby, and it's just a gorgeous charcoal, almost black with white dots, and I'm just using bits. As you can see, there are only tiny bits left, but just enough to mat some of the back of the photo. It doesn't go all the way around the photo, but that's absolutely fine because I want to build up some layers anyway. And then the other bits are from Simple Stories. What was it called? Winter Wonderland, maybe? The winter collection last year. Again, I've almost used that collection up, but I had that gorgeous pink that you can see on the left-hand side there that matches Amelia's jumper perfectly, so I really wanted to use that, and I love this beige spot. These sorts of papers, if you haven't got them in your scraps, are great stash builders. They're well worth looking out for in sales and things. Just these neutral geometric shapes work really nicely for layering behind photos, especially when they're in colours like this, which are fairly neutral, so don't detract from your photo in any way. So you can see I'm starting to build up the layers there. I've got the charcoal spot on there and the beige spot. I'm going to do the same with the top one, and then I'm going to add that gorgeous spun sugar pink paper to it. So just getting that strip stuck down to that one. They look so funny from the back, don't they? The colours are nothing like the ones on the front. And then just going to trim a strip of this paper so that I can mat both photos using the one strip. So as you can see, really not a lot of paper used there, but it's a great way of using up some of your scrap bits that you've got left over. So just getting that glued down. I am going to distress the edges of these. Not quite sure why I didn't do them before I cut the mat. I think I was concentrating on making sure that the mats were right and that I had the colours in there that I wanted. So just getting this one stuck down. Because there's not so much of the charcoal behind this one, I do trim a bit off the left-hand side as well there. Now, I'm not going to layer these exactly as Cassandra's got them on her sketch because it just didn't work with the photos. I tried it, but it just cut off too much and they look too blocky. So I will move them ever so slightly. It's still pretty similar. Now, this journaling spot that I've got is actually cut from the Flower Child paper. Again, I've got it in my scraps. I used it for a recent kit that I created for the Warrington Paper Crafters crop, and I had that left over, so I just trimmed that out to use as my journaling spot. So now I'm going through with my grey pen. It's just a fine liner pen to create some lines going through these shards, just to create a bit of interest there so it's not just blocky shards. And you'll have seen I also sprayed that with water and then lifted up the ink. I love the mottled effect you get from doing that. So I just decided I'm going to back that journaling spot with some of that black charcoal paper that I had just enough to create a border around the bits that show on the layout. So just trimming that down to size, and then that can slot underneath those two photos there. So just having a fiddle to work out the positioning. And then I'm going to come in with my title. So these are some old Amy Tangerine thickers from American Crafts, and I love them. They're just a grey board, chipboard, and then they've got like a white crosshatch on them, and they're gorgeous. I love the shape of them as well, nice and thin. So I've just spelt out Jobo Blooms, which is the name of the florist. It's one of my friends. She used to be on my design team actually, and funnily enough, our husbands were they grew up together in Bangor in Northern Ireland. They were on the same Cubs and Scouts football teams, which we found out after she'd started working on the design team here at Hey Little Magpie. So she started a florist. She's down in Dorset in the UK, and offered these wreath boxes that she shipped out to us all, and then did some YouTube videos explaining how to create the door wreath for Christmas. So I decided to get one for Amelia, and we had brilliant fun putting it together. Mum came over to watch as well, and I'd highly recommend Jo. She's an amazing florist if you're in the local area and need flowers. But this was just such a wonderful experience. I am going to do a companion page showing the wreath actually on the front door as well. But I just wanted to do this one to show the contents of the box, and Amelia mid-cut, cutting up, trimming down the branches to put on the foam wreath. So just using my fingernails there to scuff up the edges of that journaling tab, is it? And because these letters are old, I'm going to glue them down, so I won't make you watch that, but I just used my PVA glue to get those stuck down on the page. And then, of course, my T-square ruler just to check that everything was straight. So this is my other scraps box. I've got a scraps box full of all my papers, and then I've got one full of all my embellishments. So when I break a collection down, when I've not got very much left, or if I happen to take a collection which isn't, say an ephemera pack, which isn't part of a collection, it goes in this box. So you can see there's quite an eclectic mix there of 49 and Market Spectrum sherbet, which I've almost finished, so that was broken down. There's quite a lot of Rosie Studio because their ephemera packs are absolutely huge. So there's that in there. There's some Simple Stories, Cocoa Vanilla. You get the impression. There's quite a lot in there. So I'm just going through, pulling out the pink bits and bits that I think will work. So this jug, I want to use the sprig of flowers and hide the jug behind. So I was just trying to work out and check that I was happy with the look before trimming the jug off, because I may well be able to use that jug on a different layout. So I don't want to dispose of it just yet, but it was just that floral sprig that I wanted there. And then that word happy is also a Rosie Studio, and so is this house actually. And I thought the house would work nicely because we're at home doing this. So it just gives a nod to where we were. And that ticket that's behind it, it does get moved actually, but that's 49 and Market as well, Spectrum Sherbet. And then that little ring, I love those little rings, that was Spectrum Sherbet too. So just working around this floral heart, I really wanted to use it, and you'll see I keep moving it around and keep trying, but it just doesn't make the cut in the end. I just can't get it to work. But look, I'm taking that piece out and trying it there. But you just lose the shape of the heart. It wasn't right. For a while it sits up there next to the title, but I found something better in the end. And then I find a second heart. So look, trying to put that on as well. My goodness, ridiculous. So just looking through to see what else. Earlier on you will have seen I put a piece of paper with a butterfly on that I was thinking of cutting it out, but I decided that was just a little bit too dark. So I put that back for another day. Now this circle does stay there, and it says good things grow here. So I thought that was really nice. It's a slightly different pink, but it still works nicely with all the other pinks. And then this lovely circular black piece that says you plus me. So that brings in that charcoal black that I've got as mats around the photos, which works nicely. So having a look through to see what else. These are all little frames that I've cut out from a Cocoa Vanilla collection. And I'm thinking I might use one of these to mat behind the photo. So just pulling that up after I've stuck it down. And this one doesn't make it. In fact, I trimmed that floral cluster off shortly. I fussy cut it to add to something next to the title. But I do find a better frame with flowers on, which I'll use as a mat behind that house, and I'm thrilled with how it turned out in the end. After all this fussing, I decided to leave this all in just to show that sometimes my layouts do come together really easily. I find the pieces that I want to use and they just get put on and that's it. Other times I do faff an awful lot trying to work out what to put where. And then when it's all together, it's so obvious and it's not difficult. I just have those mental blocks sometimes and have to try lots of different things to see where I'm going. So this is the frame that I'm going to use behind that house. I just prefer that it's a square edge rather than that scalloped edge. But you can see here I just think that floral sprig will work nicely around the title. So I try layering it on the heart, but of course it gets completely lost. Then I turn the heart over to the white side and think, should I colour it in with ink or something? But then I spot this, what's it called? Like a medal, isn't it? And I just think that rosette, I think that will work really nicely. So I can't remember what the word said now, but I just cover that up with that floral sprig that I'd fussy cut out of that frame. And just add that next to the title. And I really like how that finishes that title off. It just felt like there was a space next to Jobo. So I just wanted to include that. And Jo's name is Joanne Boland. That's why she's called her company Jobo Blooms. So just working on this left-hand cluster now. So I'm going to start gluing things down. I do switch that label out. Go back to that tag again from 49er Market, the ticket rather. So I do end up, you'll see in a minute, I cut that in half because there's no point in tucking it all behind the photo. I'll be able to use that other half another day. So just adding that half tucked behind those floral clusters. That's that piece from the jug that I cut out. And then this happy title, I am going to have to add some little bits of foam behind that just to pop it up over the photo. There were quite a few layers of card there, so I just wanted to have it popped up. So I'm using that 25mm foam pads from Sticks 2, and I've just trimmed them down into thin strips to add to the tails of the word. I've just got them on the H and the double P. The other bits can be glued down. So just adding that to the P now, and then I can stick that down. In fact, I don't use any glue because the foam pads hold it in place enough, so I didn't need to use any glue on that. They're really sticky foam pads as well, they're great. Once it's down for sure. So you can see I've kept pretty closely to the sketch this time. My journaling's in the same place, the title's in the same place. I've got those shards, obviously slightly more than on the title there, on the sketch there, but I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So just gluing this right hand cluster down now, adding that house, and then I'll tuck that you and me underneath the house, and then that ring, and that little pink ring really does finish off that cluster. I'm so happy with that. It's funny how sometimes it's tiny little things that really do make a difference. So adding my journaling, which just says, when we saw that Jo created these wreath kits with video instructions for us to create at home, we knew we had to have one. Granny came to watch too. So last thing now, adding some gold splatters all over that layout, over the clusters, and big splatters over those shards, and that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. This is day 24, and I shall see you tomorrow for day 25. Bye.